What's up guys, my name is Phil. Welcome back to Miranda Detailing. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to wash and decon a vehicle. So guys, this video is going to be strictly for washing and deconning. So proper wash methods and then chemical deconning, so using a Tar X product or an iron remover product, and then also mechanically deconning using either a clay mitt or a clay bar. So let's get started on this little BMW. So guys, here's the little BMW that we're going to be deconning and working on. And notice all the way to the bottom here, a lot of heavy particles and junk and tar and dirt, road grime. This is going to be the heaviest down here. So as you go to the top, of course, it gets lighter and lighter depending on the condition of the vehicle. This one is not really too bad, especially on the top surfaces, but down here it is. So we'll show you how to rinse and do what's called an APC rinse, and we'll show you what that is and why it's beneficial. And then we'll go through the de-tarring and iron removal stage. We'll also show you cleaning of the wheels and deconning them as well. And as we go through the paint, there are some little defects here. We won't really pay attention to those, but just to kind of point them out to you, just so you know. Make sure to stay clear of those, at least from a distance with the pressure washer, not to get too close. So again, heavier particles and tar. This could be some road paint, little speckles of road paint possibly. Back here, again, is going to be the worst. Heavy buildup of soot from the exhaust that will swirl back around onto the back of the vehicle. And of course back here, same thing. This is going to be the heaviest accumulation of particles and grime from the road. Usually you have to mechanically decon and chemically decon back here the most, and especially back here and the lower portions. That's really what you're going to need to pay attention to the most when detailing a vehicle. So we have some tar down here, so we'll pay attention to that. All right, so let's get to rinsing, and we'll show you the APC rinse process first.
The pre-wash phase, or as we like to call it, the APC rinse, is the most important step. Thoroughly rinsing the paint, wheels, door jambs, and trunk lid area will flush away and remove the majority of heavy dirt and grime particles on the paint. After the initial rinsing, we use an all-purpose cleaner, or APC, or a degreaser, and mist all the bottom portions of the vehicle, including the plastic, trim, wheels, and tires. This will start emulsifying and softening the dirt and road film, making it easier to blast off with your pressure washer. Now we're using Malco's Red Thunder diluted 4:1 here, but you can choose whichever cleaner you want. Super Clean, Extra Tough, Meguiar's All-Purpose Cleaner or Degreaser, and so on. Working in the shade is obviously the best option, but as mobile detailers, we don't always have that luxury. So if working by yourself, perform these processes section by section so as not to allow product to dry on the vehicle. When you rinse after the APC rinse, you will notice how the particles and road film are drastically reduced. This will leave a thin layer of road film on the paint, easily and safely removed in the next phase.
So guys, everything is now rinsed and APC rinsed, and you can see the paint already looks good. The majority of the heavy buildup of material here, particles and dirt and grime, are washed away and softened. There are some tar bits there, but the majority of it is basically knocked off of the paint and softened. Same goes with the wheels. The wheel cleaning process will be much easier. We'll show that in another video. Let's get to the contact wash. Now there's a couple of different ways of doing this depending on how you want to do it. Some guys like to foam the vehicle down at this point, let it dwell, and rinse it off. You can do that if you want, but we find it's kind of a waste of product and time, and the pre-rinsing and APC washing did that work already. Sure, you could argue that it's going to do it even more so, but it's negligible at that point. That's what we have found. If you're a mobile detailer, you don't want to be wasting product, water, and time. So here's another way that you can foam the vehicle down and get right to contact washing.
Now, some may argue that foaming the vehicle in this manner is wasteful or just for show. Obviously, they don't detail for a living. First off, when calculating the dilution ratio for any shampoo, we have found that we only use about 2 ounces per vehicle on average. Some more, some less. Now that's using a good shampoo like Chemical Guy's Citrus Washing Gloss or Hyperwash. You can use whichever shampoo you like. Recently, we have also been using Total Detail's Drift shampoo. It's extremely slick and highly dilutable. We only mixed 2 ounces in a foam cannon and we were able to wash 4 vehicles with that mixture. That's half an ounce per vehicle. If you want to pick up some of that shampoo, check out the links down below. Now your results may vary depending on the shampoo you use, so play around with the ratios until you find one that works for you. Now once we foam down the vehicle, we get right to contact washing, using a nice large plush mitt. We also use a clay mitt or clay towel at the same time to mechanically decon the paint. This really speeds up the process. We wash a section and use the slick soap to glide the mitt across the paint. We also use the clay mitt on all of the glass. Now this is not going to harm the paint as much as people think. Any friction caused by a clay bar, clay mitt, or clay towel will induce minor marring, depending on the hardness or softness of your paint, but it is easily removed with a protection phase. Now we also don't use that first mitt and clay towel to wash the bottom portions of the vehicle, where the heaviest buildup is. So we use a separate wash mitt and sometimes a clay bar to mechanically decon those sections.
So now all of the washing and clay mitting all of the top surfaces is done. It really wasn't that bad up on the upper surfaces, but down below we'll show you how we can go further with chemical and mechanical decontamination. So let's rinse everything and then we'll go into that phase. So now that the rinsing part is pretty much done, let's begin now with the iron removal. Now, you can choose to do either iron or tar first. I know there's going to be some argument as to why some people choose one over the other first, but I'm going to go with iron first because it's going to basically be a touch-free kind of decontamination. I'm not going to work the product into the paint, even though you can if you want. I'm going to simply spray it onto the panels, and I'm not going to go too high. You can choose to go all over the vehicle, but I know that the top surfaces are nice and smooth. I'm not worried about particles up there. You can also choose to do the wheels, and all these back portions are going to have much more contamination. Now let the iron remover of your choice dwell on here for a couple of minutes. If you're in the shade, you have longer dwell time. If you're in the sun, you may only get away with a minute, but within that minute, you will start to see it dissolve iron particles if there are iron particles to dissolve. And it doesn't really look like there's much on here at all. I don't see any type of purple reaction, the color of the iron particles reacting. Really don't see it. This vehicle may not really have any particles at all. Usually back here you will see the majority of it. So there's a little bit dissolving right there. It's starting to turn purple. A few little pieces right here turning purple, but not much. Now you can choose to agitate this if you want, but I'm not going to do that. Let it dissolve and then just rinse it away. So the iron removal phase is done. There wasn't a lot of iron particles to dissolve. So again, if you are offering the high-end services so that you go through these motions just to make sure that there are no iron particles, then fine, that's great. But remember, don't waste product if you are a mobile detailer or if your customer is not paying for that high end of a service. If you include it in your service, fine. But remember, those products do cost money. The iron removal and tar removal products can be pricey if you're using them all the time on mobile washing and detailing. So be wary of that. If you see that you need to use them, go ahead, use them sparingly. But if not, don't waste product. Iron removal stage is done. Let's go on to the tar removal phase. Now, I think I did see a little bit of tar on here. There are little dots here and there. So again, this is just as easy as the iron removal. You spray it onto the area, let it dwell, and usually with tar particles you will start to see it dissolve. Kind of like the iron removal, it will just start to melt away, and then you can easily remove it with a nice soft microfiber towel. Let's start to remove these little tar bits here. I can also feel that little tar bit, and it's slowly removing. Some are a little bit more stubborn than others. It's now removed. So now the paint is nice and clean, no tar. It's nice and smooth also, so that's good. And even all the way down here, it feels pretty smooth. Now usually behind the rear wheel is going to be the worst. A lot of buildup of tar. So there's a couple of big chunks right there. So let the tar remover dwell on those, start to dissolve them. Sometimes they'll start to like run and dissolve, and sometimes they just don't. Could depend on the type of tar or asphalt that we're dealing with. But even if they're not dissolving like that, you can still use a nice soft towel and work the product into the paint to remove them. There's a little tar chunk right there, and there you can start to see it. It's starting to dissolve a little bit. You can kind of see how it does that. So it'll dissolve the tar particles, and you can simply start to wipe them up. And you're done. So if you want to do a degreaser bath, that's up to you. But at this point, everything is rinsed off. It rinses away nice and clean, and you don't have to worry about that. So now the washing and deconning, chemical deconning, is done. We're going to clay bar just portions because it really does not need a lot of clay barring. So we're going to dry the paint now. We're using a nice fluffy towel from Microfiber Madness. This is the Chipmunk, and a great drying towel like this will really speed up your process also. You can use other smaller towels if you want, but a nice high quality drying towel like this just makes the job so much more enjoyable, and it speeds it up. So you can also choose to blow dry the vehicle. Usually we would do that as well. So we'll blow dry all of the cracks and crevices and make sure everything is bone dry for the protection phase. But we'll get into that in another video. We're going to dry the paint, and we're going to show you how to clay bar, so mechanically decon the back portions and some of the lower portions. Alright, so we're on to drying now, and I'm going to just show you the back portion here of how we clay bar. So we're going to be using AM clay. Now this you can pick up, and along with all the other products that we've been showing you, check out the links down below. They'll go to either Amazon or Car Supplies Warehouse. The AM clay you can purchase at Car Supplies Warehouse. This is a very interesting clay. This was designed to actually use with just water. It's up to you. You can use a clay lube if you want. It's not a big deal, but this was designed to use with simply water. It's a very fine, soft clay. Another cool tip that I've seen other detailers do is actually put this in a little bucket of almost boiling hot water. It actually responds really well to really hot water. It makes it very, very soft, and it's more malleable like that. But already it's a soft clay anyway. So I've got a nice clean piece here, and I'm going to spray the back portion here, which is usually the worst, with water, and I can already tell it glides along the paint. There's no stickiness. And of course that will depend on the type of paint that you're dealing with. Some paint is just more grabby and sticky, and also depending on the contamination on here. So we already put iron remover, we already detarred it, and this is still coming off of the paint. So there are going to be little particles here and there, little things on the paint that are not going to be removed with the chemical decontamination stage. Now, if you want, again, according to your business, if you don't have the type of services that you're going to offer, all of the tar removal and iron removal, and you just want to go to the clay, you can do that too. Again, don't overthink the processes. If you are a mobile car washer or a mobile detailer and your prices are at a certain range and you really can't go any higher because the customers are not going to pay for that, then why would you be spending time and money on the iron and tar removal products if the customers are not paying for it? Those products, again, are more of a premium price, more of a premium product. So unless you're charging a premium price, why would you want to use those products all the time? It will actually hurt your business because the customers are not going to see the difference. They're not going to know the difference. If we were going to be doing a full paint correction and ceramic coating on this, I would go through all of the motions. Even if the paint wasn't really that bad as far as iron and tar and all of that, I'll just still lightly go over it with the products just to make sure. But that's because the customer is paying a premium price for that. Think about all of that stuff when it comes to detailing. Don't just go through all of those motions just because you see other people doing it or because you think it's nice to be able to offer that to the customer. If you're doing this as a business, that can hurt you in the end. So be wary of that. Think about that. So I'm going to continue clay barring this entire back portion here. Even after the chemical deconning, you can still feel particles on the paint that are not going to come off unless you mechanically shear them off with the clay bar. That feels nice and smooth. Great. Go all the way up here. Good. And still, that's from the whole back bumper after chemical deconning. So this section here is also going to be one of the worst. So make sure to pay special attention to this. There will be iron, there will most likely be tar particles, and then just other particles that are stuck onto the paint that you need to decon with the clay bar. Now again, like we just talked about, if you are not going to do the chemical decon, this will still remove most of those particles. Even the iron particles, even the tar particles, the clay bar will remove. It might take you a little bit longer and it'll definitely junk up your clay bar more, and again, it is going to lightly mar the paint. It's just going to happen. You can't get away with deconning, especially mechanically deconning the paint, without that type of abrasion. So in the next couple of videos that we're going to show you for the exterior protection, we're going to show you how to get rid of that marring. Even though the clay is going to mar it, the clay mitt is going to mar the paint, you don't have to worry excessively because it can easily be removed. The light marring from the clay bar or even from the mitt, it's not like deep scratches. It can be easily removed with just the waxing stage, especially if you're using a DA polisher. So this thing is pretty much all dried, pretty much done now. Just a few other little portions I'm going to clay bar, and it's going to be ready for the protection stage.